A farmer is lying in bed with his wife when he turns to her, gives her a playful smile and says, "Honey, if we could get milk from these, we could sell the cow." Then he moves his hand lower and adds, "And if we could get eggs from here, we could sell the chickens." She turns to him, grins, grabs his equipment, and says, "Honey, if we could get this working, I could get rid of your brother sleeping on the couch." A man asked his wife a serious question. "If I died tomorrow, would you get remarried?" She paused, then replied softly, "Well, I'm still young, and I wouldn't want to be alone, so probably yes." "Would you stay in this house?" he asked. "I think so. I really love this place." "Would you let him drive my truck?" "It's a good truck," she said with a smile, "and I do enjoy driving it myself." He nodded slowly. "Okay, but would you let him use my golf clubs?" She looked at him and said, "No, he's left-handed." A married couple is in bed one morning chatting about their dreams. The wife says, "I had a weird dream last night. I was at a men's auction. Long ones were going for $100, thick ones for $200. The husband laughs. "Oh, yeah? What would mine have gone for?" She smirks. "They were giving ones like yours away for free." He grins and says, "That's wild. I had a dream about a women's auction. Let's just say the high-end ones were going for $500 to $1,000. The wife, curious, asks, "What about mine?" He looks at her and goes, "That's where they were holding the auction." 3 dots. 2 guys are standing in line at the gates of heaven. One turns to the other and says, "So, how'd you die?" The other replies, "I froze to death. You?" "I had a heart attack." "Oh, no? How'd that happen?" "Well, I thought my wife was cheating on me. So I rushed home from work, ran upstairs, and there she was, sound asleep, alone. But I didn't believe it. I tore through the house, checked under the bed, in the closet. Nothing. I sprinted back upstairs, and that's when I had a heart attack." The first guy sighs and says, "That's ironic." "Why's that?" "If you had checked the fridge, we'd both still be alive." Nang. A mom comes home from work and notices her kids peeking out from behind the couch, clearly freaked out. She asks, "What's going on?" One of the kids says, "Aunt Sally was here, and she didn't have any clothes on." Shocked, the mom rushes to the bedroom and finds her husband lying on the bed, sweaty and flustered. "What is going on?" she asks. He pants. I think I'm having a heart attack." She says, "Oh my gosh, I'm calling 911. As she heads to grab her phone, she opens the bathroom closet and finds Aunt Sally, hiding, also in the nude. Without missing a beat, the mom gives her a slap and says, "Unbelievable. My husband is having a heart attack, and you're running around scaring the kids." A girl is talking to her guy friend and says, "I found condoms in my boyfriend's jacket, but we don't use condoms. When I asked him about it, he said he uses them to, take care of himself." She looks at her friend and asks, "Do you ever do that?" He shrugs and says, "Sure." Shocked, she asks, "Wait, you actually use them for that?" He pauses and replies, "Oh, I thought you meant, do I lie to my girlfriend?" Aura. This blonde decides one day that she is sick and tired of all these blonde jokes, and how all blondes are perceived as stupid, so she decides to show her husband that blondes really are smart. While her husband is off at work, she decides that she is going to paint a couple of rooms in the house. The next day, right after her husband leaves for work, she gets down to the task at hand. Her husband arrives home at 5:30 and smells the distinctive smell of paint. He walks into the living room and finds his wife lying on the floor in a pool of sweat. He notices that she is wearing a ski jacket and a fur coat at the same time. He goes over and asks her if she is okay. She replies yes. He asks what she is doing. She replies that she wanted to prove to him that not all blonde women are dumb, and she wanted to do it by painting the house. He then asks her why she has a ski jacket over her fur coat. She replies that she was reading the directions on the paint can, and they said, "For best results, put on 2 coats." Sat the Shumlove. 2 widows, Margaret and Ruth, were chatting in their retirement home. Margaret: "That charming Frank Peterson asked me out for a date. I know you went out with him last week, and I wanted to get your thoughts before I give him my answer." Ruth: "Oh, let me tell you. He arrived right on time at 7 p.m., looking quite dapper in a sharp suit, and he brought me the most beautiful bouquet of flowers. Then he took me downstairs." Margaret: "What was waiting for you?" Ruth: "A limousine, complete with a uniformed chauffeur." Ruth continued, "We went out for dinner, an incredible feast. Lobster, champagne, dessert, and even after-dinner drinks. Honestly, Margaret, I enjoyed it so much I thought I might just float away with joy." Margaret leaned in, intrigued. "And then?" Ruth said with a grin. "Then we returned to my apartment for a nightcap, and let me tell you, he turned into a wild man. He completely lost control, tore off my brand-new dress, and let's just say we had quite the adventurous night. 3 times, in fact." Margaret gasped. "Oh, my goodness, so you're saying I shouldn't go out with him?" Ruth laughed. No, I'm just suggesting you wear something old and inexpensive." Yet a man steps into the confessional and begins, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." "What is your sin, my son?" the priest asks. "Well," the man says, "I used some terrible language this week, and I feel awful about it." "When did you use this awful language?" the priest inquires. "I was out golfing," the man explains. "I hit an absolutely perfect drive, looked like it was going to clear 250 yards, but then, out of nowhere, it smacked right into a phone line hanging over the fairway and dropped straight to the ground, barely making it 100 yards. "Ah," the priest nods knowingly. "Is that when you swore?" "No, Father," the man replies. "Then what happened?" "Well, right after that, a squirrel darted out from the bushes, grabbed my ball in its mouth, and took off running." The priest leans in. "And that is when you swore?" "No, not yet," says the man, "because just as the squirrel was making its escape, an eagle swooped down, snatched it up in its talons, and soared into the sky with my ball still in the squirrel's mouth." The priest, now intrigued, asks, "Surely that's when you swore?" "Nope," the man says, "because as the eagle was flying over the green, the squirrel squirmed, dropped my ball, and it fell perfectly toward the hole." The priest's eyes widen. "And then you swore?" "Not quite," the man continues. "The ball hit a tree, bounced through some bushes, ricocheted off a rock, rolled through the sand trap, and stopped just 6 inches from the cup." The priest lets out a deep sigh, shaking his head. "You missed the putt, didn't you?" 9. One evening, a family brought their elderly, frail mother to a nursing home, hoping she'd receive the care she needed. The next morning, the nurses bathed her, served her a delicious breakfast, and placed her in a comfortable chair by a window overlooking a beautiful flower garden. She seemed to be settling in nicely. But after a while, something strange began to happen. The elderly woman slowly started to lean to one side in her chair. The nurses, ever attentive, rushed to catch her and gently straightened her up. She seemed fine for a moment, but soon after, she started to tilt the other way. Again, the nurses sprang into action, ensuring she stayed upright. This continued for hours, with the nurses carefully adjusting her every time she started to tip over. Later that day, her family visited to check on her well-being. "So, Ma," they asked, "how's everything going? Are they treating you well?" With a smile, the elderly woman replied, "It's pretty nice here, except they won't let you pass gas." Sometimes it's the little things that can make a situation unforgettable, like a nursing home with no room for a little wind. But 3 pregnant women are sitting in a cafe having lunch when one of them says, "I know that I'm going to have a boy." The other 2 women think about that for a moment, and then one of them says, "Okay, how do you know you're going to have a boy?" "Well, when the child was conceived," says the first woman, "I was on top, so I'm going to have a boy." They sit and eat for a few minutes more, and then the second woman says, "Well, I'm going to have a girl." "Okay," says the first one. "How do you know you're going to have a girl?" "Well, when my child was conceived, I was on the bottom, so I'm going to have a girl." They sit and eat for a few minutes more, the third woman obviously getting more and more distressed, until finally she breaks down into horrible sobbing. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" the first 2 women ask with concern. The third woman manages to stifle her sobs long enough to only say one thing. "I'm going to have a puppy." Padinondre. A guy comes home completely drunk one night. He lurches through the door and is met by his scowling wife, who is most definitely not happy. "Where the have you been all night?" she demands. "At this fantastic new bar," he says. "The Golden Saloon. Everything there is golden. It's got huge golden doors, a golden floor, the works, even the urinal's gold." The wife still doesn't believe his story, and the next day checks the phone book, finding a place across town called the Golden Saloon. She calls up the place to check her husband's story. "Is this the Golden Saloon?" she asks when the bartender answers the phone. "Yes, it is," bartender answers. "Do you have huge golden doors?" "Sure do." "Do you have golden floors?" "Most certainly do." "What about golden urinals?" There's a long pause. Then the woman hears the bartender yelling, "Hey, Johnny, I think I got a lead on the guy that peed in your saxophone last night." Panirende. During one of Bankay's classes, a pupil was caught stealing. All the disciples demanded he be expelled, but Bankay did nothing. The following week, the pupil stole again. The others, irritated, demanded that the thief be punished. "How wise you all are," said Bankay. "You know what is right and wrong, and you can study anywhere you like. But this poor brother, who does not know what is right or wrong, has only me to teach him, and I shall go on doing that." A flood of tears purified the thief's face. The desire to steal had disappeared. Padimunda. An 85-year-old couple is going on holiday when they suddenly die in a plane crash. They had been married for 60 years and kept in good health due to their healthy diet and regular exercise. When they reached heaven, St. Peter took them to their mansion, decked out with a fully stocked kitchen, master bath suite, and their very own jacuzzi. As his wife oohed and ed at their new possessions, the old man asked Peter how much all of this was going to cost. "It's all free," Peter replied. "We are in heaven, after all." Next, they surveyed the lush championship golf course behind their home, where they were entitled to play every day. Of course, all the old man wanted to know was, how much are the green fees? "It's free," came the reply. Next, they went to the clubhouse and saw the lavish buffet on offer, with all of the world's different cuisines on offer, every meal cooked to perfection. "How much do we have to pay for 2?" asked the old man. "Don't you understand yet?" Peter replied, exasperated. "It's all free. You're in heaven." "Well, Where are the low-fat and cholesterol tables then? The food won't have too many calories, will it? The old man asked, looking quite worried. That's the best part of heaven, St. Peter said excitedly. You can eat as much of whatever you want, and you won't gain a single gram. With that, the old man went into a fit of anger, throwing down his hat and stomping on it wildly. His wife and Peter tried to calm him down, asking what was wrong. The old man looked at his wife. "This is all your fault," he screamed. "If it weren't for you and your blasted bran muffins, I could have been here 10 years ago."